Well, Iron Man is basically an evil superhero story.
Well,
The song. Because
the song is.
he goes
He's
to...
a gunner.
Hey? No, in the song, which is different.
Oh, okay.
The Black Sabbath song.
Because I was talking about the actual Iron.
Yeah. Well, in the Black Sabbath song, this guy he goes to save his race from the cosmic rays or something, and then he gets transformed into an Iron Man, and he gets frozen into this huge iron obelisk, and nobody cares about it anymore. And then he gets he comes alive and gets his revenge on them for not caring about him. So it's the quintessential evil superhero story. There you go. My God, isn't it amazing? Hello and welcome to the QUACKCAST. This is QUACKCAST number 527. I am Ozone Ocean, and with me is Baines and Tance. Hello. So this week we're talking about the idea of superheroes gone bad, superheroes gone wild. So basically, they all get together on this rented boat and start flashing their enormous muscly pecs at people for beer. And it's rather sad. Yes, Captain America flashing his big, gigantic pectoral muscles. So yeah,
I'm sure there is fan fiction of that somewhere.
Oh, there's Rob Liefeld pictures of it, I'm sure. So you can admire this.
I'm sure Pitface has reams of it drawn and written. You can just ask her.
I'm sure she's the creator of most of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, no. The idea of this is the current popular trend of the evil superhero. So this is always, I don't know, it's always been around, but it's popped up from time to time in history. But these, right now, there is a bit of a genre explosion of the idea, because this is what happens, when things get popular, like Harry Potter. When Harry Potter got popular, suddenly we had all these movies and, well, not all these movies, but all these properties and books about wizard school kind of stuff. And like Harry Potter wasn't the first fantasy to do this. The idea of a wizard school or a witch school is as old as anything, but that got really popular and made a lot of money, so people started, making money out of all the other ones. So yeah, these things tend to take off together, and that's what's happening at the moment with the evil superhero. And there are a lot of things that have approached the idea of the evil superhero in different ways. And my contention is that it's rather silly. It's a bit of a pointless thing. This genre should not exist. But we'll talk about that, and maybe there'll be a bit of back and forth, and maybe we'll come around and say, yes, it should exist. It's very good. There's a reason for it. So that's what we'll talk about.
By the end of it, you'll be demanding more.
Exactly. We're demanding that every superhero thing actually turn into this, and that's how it should be forever after. But before we get into that, I have to bring up the featured comic. And the featured comic this week was Journey Through the Star Sea. So, sit back and listen to me talking about Journey Through the Star Sea. Hello, I'm Ozone Ocean, and my feature for this week was Journey Through the Star Sea. Journey Through the Star Sea is quite an evocative name, isn't it? This is the story of a dying man and his search for survival in an unforgiving galaxy. He doesn't know how to cure his sickness. All he has is an amulet that gives him temporary healing power and temporary relief till its power runs out. He searches space for pearls to power it, but it's a close-run thing. To top things off, he's being hunted. This is an adventure survival sci-fi story with a very mysterious story to it, and a good bit of fighting action. The art is unique and interesting. It could use some polish in some places, but it looks cool in its own right. This is mainly a black and white comic, so even though the cover is brightly coloured, the comic itself isn't. Sorry for the bit of false advertising there, but I like to pick a pleasing image for the main image for the comic, so people will actually click on it and have a look. It's worth having a look. It's a very closed story because it's finished. This comic was finished just in time to be featured. It's got just over 40 pages, I think, and it's a good little short story. It's well worth checking out. It has a beginning, middle, and end. It's a mysterious story, and you get to see the whole thing from beginning to end, and just enjoy this short story comic. It's pretty cool. Okay, I hope you read it. Journey Through the Star Sea by Scribbloid, and it's rated T. And that was the featured comic, which was Journey Through the Star Sea, which I love. That's a really beautiful title for a comic, isn't it? Pretty.
That's nice.
Journey Through the Star Sea. So you sort of imagine like a galactic galleon or something. That's what comes to my mind anyway. Okay, so next up we have the featured music. Gumballs has given us a theme to Journey Through the Star Sea.
That's synchronicity now.
Sure is.
Well, in this case, he saw the featured comic and he thought, yeah, I like it. I'm gonna, fit this to some music. So yeah, it was. Sometimes it's reversed. Sometimes Gumballs does a featured music, and I look at the comic and go, "Wow, that's cool," and I feature the comic. So
Nice.
So we play off.
Peek behind the curtain.
Yeah,
it's not magic. Oz and Gumballs aren't superheroes. It's sad disillusionment.
Okay, feet of clay. So this this particular song here, well, not a song, piece of music, is a in Gumballs' words, the brooding darkness of this seemed to fit the featured comic of this week. So, on the brink of death's door, the man seeks. He searches for succor, absolution of the sins of the body and mind, a cure for his disease. It's a dark and dangerous universe. There is no rest for him to be found. So take it away, Gumballs, with Journey Through the Star Sea. was the featured music. Thank you very much for that, Wallace. Nice little track for Journey Through the Star Sea. So I hope you read that comic, because now you have a little review of it and a bloody music tune as well. So you have all the influence to go and check it out. It's only a short comic, read it, enjoy it, love it, support it. Validate my choices as a feature person. So, okay, next up, we're talking about the genre. Well, what I think has become a genre of the evil superhero. It's quite popular at the moment. We have very many different examples. So, did we list them? I'm not sure. But some popular ones: Chronicle, Brightburn, The Boys, Invincible. So there are a few examples. And there's been various versions of Superman becoming an evil communist, alternative world baddie. I think that every few years they come out with this. Superman did this quite a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was, I'm sure, a question that was posed. I don't know when it first was, but possibly in an old Elseworlds kind of story, where what if Superman was evil? What if Superman was a authoritarian fascist?
In the 1970s, I
yeah,
would say.
Probably going way back.
Yeah.
Or 80s.
And then the death of Superman, he was replaced by Superman type characters who were not all evil, but there was one at least who was evil cyborg Superman. That's a different thing. That's an evil duplicate, which is different,
Yeah, not quite. So what sort of defines this genre, as I'm sort of classifying it as a genre, is instead of being a super villain, just going straight towards being a supervillain, who is an antithesis of a superhero. So we do have a superhero character, or we do set up the world. So yeah, this is the world. This is this character who is our main character. Happens to be a supervillain, but people actually think of him that way. He's not actually being thought of, anything good or whatever. He is explicitly that kind of thing. Whereas in this kind of scenario, we have, this is our traditional superhero, but hang on, we're subverting that in a really obvious way. Wink, wink, wink at the audience. This is really actually an evil character. Ha fooled you. You're all idiots. We fooled you. Are you woke enough to, you're smart enough to be able to get what we're saying, man?
That's weird.
Are you able to, comprehend the genius? Live it. So, say with Brightburn, he does... He's we were talking about this, he's a Damon Omen child, someone who is born to be bad. But the thing is that he has an explicit Superman origin. He is actually, someone has taken Superman and just flipped it towards, instead of making him turn out good from that origin, they've made him turn out bad. But it has actually explicitly got Superman's origin for that character, so that's why I include it in the list. Because it just flips it a bit earlier. See, these other ones, they flip it a bit later when the characters are already established as being good. They just flip it after the traditional, very early origin. Invincible, that's a story that's a bit later. I can't really get into it too much, but suffice it to say, it is an example of the genre. The reason I can't get into it is because I don't want to spoil it too much, because it's fairly the animated version is fairly new to the world. The Boys, in that one, that is very much the evil superhero story. It's a story by Alan Moore, who has been on record to say he does not like superheroes, and he wants to examine the whole genre and flip it around and do all sorts of weird little things to it in a dark dungeon basement.
I think it's Garth Ennis who did.
Is it Garth Ennis? Well, there we are. I'm
Yeah.
proven wrong. Thank you very much for that, Baines. You are a treasure. It was Garth Ennis the Penis. And yes, same guy who did Preacher, who is very much into this gritty, dark kind of stuff, but a very and I think Metropolitan or something. He was famous for that particular story. But yeah, he is someone who is very noted for doing like sort of alternative comic kind of things, and he is very, very kind of celebrated. So he's not just some idiot doing this stuff. He's a comic maker of great acclaim. So yeah,
very accomplished.
I'm not going to shit on these people for what they've done. Obviously, he's accomplished and acclaimed for a reason. So he's not someone who just goes on with a popular genre. He's someone who creates genres. So.
Didn't he create the one about the imaginary friend? It's a show also now. What the heck's it called again? The little blue unicorn imaginary friend who teams up with this like kind of grimy, scummy ex-cop. You guys know what I'm talking about? What's it called? The hell's it called again? Happy? I think it's called Happy.
Happy? Really? He was behind Happy?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, Terrence, the ad populum argument, I'm not saying it's good because everybody likes it, so it must be good. It's more like, I'm not saying that I am more qualified than this fellow, and I say his shit because he's, and everyone else is wrong, sort of thing. So I'm just going to say I'm going to critically examine the genre, but I'm not going to attack the people who created it and say they're doing it because they're crappy.
I would say that rather than having an evil superhero, like the genre is more like having a supervillain without a rival, without a foil, without the counterpart on the good side. So it's basically like you have maybe the Scarlet Witch as a villain, because now she has different aspects as I understand it. But I'm trying to think of super villains, and the Joker comes, but I don't mean the Joker. I mean like a superpower villain.
Yes,
Zod,
so
for
Magneto.
example. You have Zod. You have Zod without Superman. That's basically it.
But the genre doesn't necessarily need to have a superhero who is superpowered and doesn't have a rival. So they can have like supervillains in their world, but even though they do have supervillains, the superhero fighting them is secretly bad still, So it's done in that kind of way. So they can do it how there's no rival, but like I was saying before, it's like a spectrum.
I cannot, except if you mean The Boys, because I haven't seen The Boys. I cannot come up with an example of someone being secretly bad, and not just bad.
Invincible, like I was saying, is another example of this. So yeah. I mean, it's revealed at the end of the first episode, so it's not too much of a spoiler.
So it's not even a bad anyway.
Yeah.
Because even in Brightburn, you get, oh, what a nice little boy in the beginning, and then it's like, oh my God, it's a Eldritch horror. So, yeah.
But yeah,
like
I would go back to maybe the early 2000s. There was a movie called Hancock with Will Smith.
Yeah, I have seen that one.
I've been wanting to see it, but I haven't been able to see the damn thing.
Oh, it's a special movie. Let's put it like that.
It's not necessarily not a very good movie necessarily. Written by Vince Gilligan, who created Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul.
Oh wow!
But it just didn't quite. I don't think he directed it. I'm pretty positive, but he did write the script. There's some interesting stuff.
I have to say I liked it. although it didn't feel like I was liking a good movie, but I liked it. I liked the premise, and I liked
Yeah.
yeah.
So in Hancock, I haven't seen it, but I do remember the previews. So this was like a guy who was a superhero, but he's like really cheesed off by the idea of being a superhero, and it's like a hassle for him.
Basically, Greek gods are superheroes.
That's right. Yeah. Because he's angry. He's a bit of a mess. He's a drunk.
And I don't know.
Yeah.
We shouldn't spoil which god he is of the Greek pantheon, but he and his goddess have been having issues, and it's basically couple therapy for Greek gods.
Oh, don't spoil it. This is gold. I want to see this movie now. I've been wanting to see it forever, but now I want to see it even more.
I should give it another chance. It's been a super long time since I've seen it.
Yeah.
My super ex-girlfriend
Very long time.
is.
Oh right, yeah.
I haven't seen that.
It's a comedy take on the evil superhero. So, and this one's been out for just as long as Hancock. So there we have another.
She's a little more like Hancock, I think. She's not necessarily evil, but she is.
Like,
you get to see the human flaws below the surface of the.
Hancock is an anti-hero. He's not a villain. As opposed to Brightburn, who is the devil, basically, in a superhero format.
In my super ex-girlfriend, though, the thing there, it's basically a relationship comedy, romantic comedy kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing there is, like, you know, she becomes his ex-girlfriend for a reason. You know, they're dating, whatever. He doesn't know she's a superhero, and they have a relationship, and then they become exes because, you know, the relationship breaks up. But the idea is, what happens if your ex-girlfriend who you break up with, I can't remember if she's an alien or anything. I don't know. She just has an origin story. But what happens if your girlfriend is a superhero, and you have all those kind of negative things that would happen with an ex, but she just happens to have superpowers and can do something about it. You know, then you start to fear for not only your life, but the life of your new girlfriend and the life of your family, and, you know, your whole workplace could be destroyed by this super ex-girlfriend. You know, it won't be like these classic comedy tales of cheesy, you know, girlfriend revenge where they go and key your car or something, or, you know, burn all your clothes. She could, like, rip your apartment out of the floor and throw it into space. So it's that level of hyperbole, that hyperbolic kind of stuff can happen. So, and that becomes evil. If someone has the power to visit such bad things on you, and you can't do anything about it, that's evil.
They become the antagonist, yes, and that does apply to super ex-girlfriend.
But she's still a superhero in that she's doing superhero things. She's still helping other people while she's harming him as the ex-boyfriend. So that's the way.
Is it played for laughs?
Yeah, it's
because
a comedy.
Okay.
It's just a comedy movie, a romantic comedy. So it's interesting, but it's horrifying in a way, because you think of the potential and the possibilities that this person could do, and the unlimited strength, and you know, what can they do against it? But
I mean, to me, that's the kind of intrigue of this genre. On the most sort of the first two levels are the sort of the what if aspect of it. Like The Boys, all the characters are basically based on the Justice League or the Super Friends. You have your Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, The Flash, and so on. It's like, what if, but the Superman XP is the main sort of threat. And that just intriguing question of exactly what you said, like, what if there was a Superman, but he wasn't this paragon he wasn't there to save us at the last minute. He was selfish or even villainous or even, like you said, Satan incarnate. That's an intriguing thing. And how do you, in The Boys, the title characters are this group of humans, and for various reasons they want to take these superheroes down. And you have this massive corporation, all this money behind them, plus obviously they're superheroes too. And it's like, how can you take them down? You quickly see that, yeah, they probably should be taken down. And the whole series is about the question of, like, will they be able to, and how will they do it? So that's the fact that the mythology of the superhero exists and is sort of its own, it's built up and more with more and more movies and more in the mainstream consciousness. That to me makes the subversion worthwhile. Does it have enough legs to create a whole ongoing genre? I don't know, hard to say. But I think the subversion it can be worthy.
Yeah. I think you shouldn't fall in the trap of making them too powerful. Unless
Right.
you're going for something like a super dystopian. And I don't know how, like, what are you trying to show? What's your message? What's your message to the audience, in a sense? If you have a Mary Sue that tramples on everyone, and gets no repercussions, has no issues, there is no character arc, there is nothing there. It's just this force of nature that totals everything in its path. So,
say with The Boys, they tackle that as making, even though he is a bad superhero, Homelander, he's not a main character. The main characters are the boys who are like a commando team of misfits who was out to destroy them and uncover the corruptness of this industry. So they're really, they're the protagonists. I mean, they're not superheroes in any stretch of the word, but the Homelander is just the prime antagonist. So even though he is a force of nature and all this, they do sort of work out MacGyverish ways of taking them down and staying under the radar.
Then though, he can be taken down. That's what I mean. Like they may appear.
I don't know if he can. The other ones can.
If they're still alive, I guess they can. In the sense that, what I mean is that it's extremely intriguing to have someone go up against a force that looks impossible to overtake, assuming that it can be overtaken even if it's not obvious how, because otherwise you either have a Don Quixote sort of character going up against the windmill, or some kind of Brave New World character who commits suicide by just not being able to tolerate the situation. Either, of course, in the Brave New World, spoiler, I guess, he commits suicide, but going up against something that you can't win against, again, is suicide. So, I don't know. What are you trying? Again, I think that is very important, and I'm not sure that creators always consider it. You do have to consider what your message is. What do you want the viewer, your audience, to live with after they have consumed your story? So, a super villain, an evil superhero can be extremely alluring, can be a very powerful film, like Chronicle.
You have to see that.
You have to see that. I think you will like it. I mean, it doesn't, as far as I remember it, at least it doesn't really have too much violence, but it doesn't need it to make the point.
Good.
So what I'm saying is that you can explore many things by having an evil superhero in your story. But if you make something like Brightburn, yeah, I found the movie boring, to be honest, because there was no conflict in there. There was no conflict. There was a semblance of conflict, but no conflict. The character, the villain, Brightburn was too powerful, had no issues of his own to resolve, and he was basically an evil god.
Yeah,
without an arc.
It's a poorly written evil superhero film. It tried to be a horror film as well as a superhero origin film, but it just didn't quite work as either because, the stakes sort of get lost. The characters
and there's the other thing. Sorry, you can have definitely the villain, the evil guy, win in the end, but it has to make sense. Why does he win in the end? Is it because he just is so powerful and so invincible that he or she breaks the story? Or does he win because the other characters that lose make mistakes that they shouldn't make, or make choices that they shouldn't make? Either way. Like, for example, Brightburn could have been an interesting story if, I don't agree, I don't like the idea that someone is born evil, but if you do take that, you have an evil baby. Or something that is born evil.
Speaking of great titles, let me write that one down.
Evil baby. Yeah, okay, so you take that and you raise it, and it's a freaking evil baby. I mean, there is some responsibility there, or like some of the issues that will happen in the future are on you, who choose to take the evil baby and raise it to become an evil adult. So, yeah, there's that.
Right.
Well, then it departs further from the superhero genre. So, yeah, there can be different takes on the like I was saying, it is a spectrum.
Yeah.
And we have different entries into this genre from different angles. And Brightburn is one of them, and it's a weird one. And hopefully we won't see many more like that one specifically.
Evil baby. That's the sequel to Ghost Baby. That's the sequel.
It was a very depressing film in that, there was really never anything that the other characters could do, and you knew that because this is a superhero character, so they're just, it's not like Jason or what's his name? Jason or the other one?
Oh, I don't even remember the name, so that would be awesome.
Freddy. Well, Freddy is an example. Freddy, Jason, and Michael. There we are. Mike Myers. So these guys are forces of nature, unstoppable, whatever. But because they're forces of nature, you don't look at them as being human. The story is all about the people who are dealing with them. And because, again, they're forces of nature, there are ways around it. They don't tackle these creatures directly. They deal with them like a wild animal. And there are possibilities that they could get out of it alive. But with this Brightburn person who is an evil Superman, there's no way to stop him. And you know that very quickly. As soon as you realize he's Superman, then you realize, oh, there's no way to stop him. They're all going to die.
He's Superman because you can kill Superman. You cannot kill Brightburn. Unless you take the pod and make it into bullets and go the werewolf.
Before he manages to read your mind or whatever he does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take someone. Like, take someone that is extremely incapable of thought. And send them in to go get the stupid pod.
Manipulate them into it.
Yeah, okay.
Through levels and codes. And, like, there has to be, like, 5 different levels of people in order to have this whole plan put into action. It's a stupid film. And it's based on a comic. It's an alternative comic. There's a comic behind it. Maybe the comic's better. That's the best way to do it. QAnon say that there's a pedophile secret underground base in the the barn there.
The Podgate.
Podgate, exactly. Get these morons and control them.
Cancel Brightburn on Twitter.
Oh yes. Say that Brightburn used racist language in 1976 or whatever in a essay.
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna cancel you now, you evil. So we get the two.
That's how you get them off on the super villain.
Exactly, we got the 2 horns of the attack there. We've got the QAnon on one side, and we've got the Twitterverse on the other one after him.
Yeah.
Full on destruction.
And then that's how Brightburn gets elected into office.
Yeah,
that'd be neat. Now that sounds intriguing.
Well, we turn it into Damon Omenchild then, don't we? So
yeah.
He gets the.
It's going to be a better story than the actual movie. I can tell you that.
You guys are making me curious to see this movie. I can't believe I haven't, because I remember you talking about it.
Well, you love horror. This is a horror film.
A while back.
Right up your
It's horror.
I meant to see it. I can't believe I didn't. I don't know why I didn't.
Yeah, it's horror. Like the effects are okay. The effects are okay.
It's classics 2000s era, 2010 era horror film, as the films are made in this day and age.
I think those films were better, but the effects were nice.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah.
So with the other evil superheroes, Invincible. I really want to talk about it, but I can't.
I meant to watch it. I didn't realize it was evil superheroes, but I noticed it on Amazon in there.
Well, one evil.
So I'll have to check that out. Oh, it's one? Okay.
To explain it, all right. Okay. So in Invincible, you have the same kind of thing as The Boys. Not really, but you have, the alternative Super Friends, Justice League, basically. And they're all, okay, there's the guy who runs fast, and there's the Wonder Woman character, and there's this one, there's the Superman character. Guess which one's evil? Guess.
Superman?
Superman.
Probably. And even, it's a spoiler.
Well, that's the whole point. The most powerful one has to be the evil one.
Exactly.
I think that's how you get this genre, right? Otherwise.
Yeah. Always.
Yeah.
I mean, even in the very beginning, he's not evil then. You can tell, yeah, he is evil. So there's tells. So I won't say too much more than that. But yeah, it's another one of these ones where you have,
Yeah, please go.
I was going to say, it's a deliberate, thing about the, hi, Pid. So it's a deliberate thing about going with the Super Friends stuff. So you take that, Super Friends, or Justice League, whatever they're called, I don't know, and You do alternative versions of all the characters, and you just happen to make one bad. Well, he's meant to be good, but he's secretly evil. So that's what you do. And that seems to be one of the key things of the genre. Make Superman evil. So yeah, anyway, Tan's gone.
No, I just want to say this, and if I was going to make an evil super league something, I would make it into reality TV. And they would all have to talk to the camera, and they would become evil just by bad mouthing each other. And then whoever
That sounds great. When's this coming out? I want to watch it.
And then there will be one of them that reads everyone's minds and secretly takes revenge, and the others complain about it on camera until the cameraman dies, I guess, because someone's going to kill him. So, yeah, that's how I would play it.
If I were you, I would get a pitch together. This sounds like
pitch
cool,
it to
actually.
Netflix. In this climate, you're probably going to make some money off that idea. But before we get into it too much, I will say that I'm a bloody huge, massive hypocrite for even coming up with this idea, because I've featured like at least 2 or 3 comics on Drunkduck that are explicitly evil superhero comics, or at least, you know, they have this aspect of them. So, yeah, and I've supported them and said, yeah, they're great. They're really interesting ideas. And funnily enough, Tance featured the same comic again. So we had a, even though we're not allowed to feature the same comic twice, this comic had kind of rebranded and redid itself. And it was called like The Children of the Gods or something. And, yeah, it changed its name, and Tance didn't realize because it wasn't in any of the news posts or anything with this different title, and it wasn't in the featured comics with this title. So Tance featured it. I mean, not Tance. God, Kawaii featured it. I'm blaming the wrong person here.
See, she left in a huff.
Tance is, yes, she's innocent, and Kwai is innocent too, because Kwai didn't do this deliberately.
Well, superheroes have secret identities, you know, so they get away with this.
They do, and when they're evil, you can't do anything about it, can you? Because they're sneaky
That's
bastards.
right.
So anyway, it got featured a second time, and it is very much about evil superheroes. So this whole topic I'm arguing against and saying, you know, the genre is just silly and bad, I've been behind promoting it all along. I am an evil superhero. I'm the evil.
I think it's an interesting question, though. Like, does this, as a genre, if it can be considered a genre, does it have legs? Can it carry forward?
I think it's a genre.
Or like, yeah.
Oh, go on. Sorry, I just butted into you. Go
on. No, I was pretty much done. It was pretty much the point.
Well, I think it is a genre, and it is carrying to a certain extent because there are so many different properties at the moment that are using it. So they're basically they're making they're using the idea of evil superhero as the engine behind the story, and that's how they sell themselves. You know, that is the premise, I should say. That's the theme, the premise that they're tackling. And if it didn't have legs, then there wouldn't be more than one example. It wouldn't just keep on perpetuating at the moment. And I think it's perpetuating. There's this great article that Hashiko actually, Hashiko in our forums linked to in my discussion about this. And I had a check out of it, and this person wrote, you know, like maybe 1,000-word article or something about the idea. And it's even because the genre has become so popular, it's gone back and tainted things like, you know, even the newest Superman movies, in that the whole Batman and Superman thing. Superman has to prove that he's not an evil superhero to Batman, and that's the premise of the whole thing. It's Superman trying to prove that he's actually a good guy, and Batman's all the while he's suspicious that Superman might be evil because of this frickin' genre. It's the only reason that happened. Where like really.
Yeah, I haven't seen those movies.
Nor have I, actually, but I did read the article. But the idea is that we're all woke and we're critical and we're so intelligent that we can't accept just superheroes for being superheroes. There must be something wrong about them. There must be something evil, which is stupid because, like as I've said before, the genre exists to be to subvert reality, to be a fantasy, to be a wish fulfillment. And undermining that sort of negates the whole reason that it even exists.
Well, I'll go back to what I think I said earlier or on Patreon. Like, this mythology exists and it's kind of iconic, and Superman is like the ultimate expression of that kind of superhero genre. So the fact that that exists and exists like pretty strongly for many decades and very strongly now means that the subversion of it is valid.
Yeah,
that's part one.
You do have.
That's why it works. Part two. I think I wrote a news post about this. In my opinion, my thesis was that you don't subvert the actual icon. You don't subvert Superman. I mean, when I say you don't, I mean I have no power over anyone, obviously. But it's a bad idea, was my thesis, to subvert the actual Superman. I went on to include the actual Luke Skywalker. Although you can subvert the heroic, beloved, noble mentor type, the Luke Skywalker type, the Superman type, of course. And I think that's valid. I'm a big fan of the boys. But yeah, so you do it with an XB, not with the actual character, or you're just going to get on people's nerves. I don't know what the ultimate effect of that is, but yeah.
So Brightburn, Homelander, Omni-Man, you have your stand-in.
Totally, that's the way you do it, in my opinion. Yeah.
For me, it as you say, it is a genre that normal superhero, standard superhero genre has existed for a very long time, like 60, 70 years, whatever. It's been around, so it's very valid to explore it and to examine it in different ways. So that's fine. The only thing I'm against is not really that. It's the idea of changing the genre, changing the whole superhero genre into, now we have the evil superhero genre, and that is the new thing. That seems to be the way things are going at the moment. Or else, when a new, superhero story comes along, it's taking this tack of, saying, oh yeah, it's a bad superhero now, and we have to sort of deal with all the issues around having an evil superhero and blah 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 blah. It's turning the genre in the normal superhero genre is being turned into this. That's how I feel, because I've seen so many examples of it, and I think that is more a reaction rather than just a reaction to the existing superhero genre. That's more a reaction to the Marvel film phenomena, which has been around for 10 years now, or more than that. So
maybe a little more even.
Yeah. So the Marvel film phenomena took over and became, okay, every film is now a superhero film. They're all this, and other media has to obviously react against that, because that's like the biggest thing. In the popular mind, everybody has seen those movies, so it's now, if you want to critically examine them or undercut them or whatever, now is the time to go forward with all those things. I'm really, my words are terrible because it's like almost 2 a.m. here, and my brain's not working, unfortunately. But you know what I mean, don't you? It's
I think you mean it's just too much superhero stuff, or it's just like.
Well, no, it's more like they've flooded the market with standard superheroes, right? So how do you keep on going with superhero stories or this kind of fantasy, superhero fantasy, and still make a splash? Still manage to sell your property. Well, you do ones that are a slightly different take on the thing. Do you know what I mean? So instead of just the standard superhero one, we're gonna do the the evil superhero one, or we're gonna do this kind of story, or the horror movie superhero or something. So maybe that's why they're doing it. Because even though Invincible is new now and The Boys are new now as TV shows, they weren't written just yesterday in reaction to Marvel superheroes. These are stories from
No, those comics have been around for a long time.
Yeah, but the thing is, whoever has bought these properties, these IPs, and turned them into TV shows has done that because of superhero stories are popular at the moment. So that's what's driven them to buy these IPs and put them into development, and then market them on Amazon and Netflix or whatever else. So
right,
is
that a bad thing though?
No, that's just the fact. That's just possibly the reason why they exist.
Makes sense, yeah. Like, we have a superhero show, but it's got a twist.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure, I can see that.
How can you keep selling the idea? Or how can you keep making money of the idea? You can't keep making money off superheroes by just keeping on producing superhero stuff, because people get bored by it, or they go, oh, this isn't like Marvel or DC, so why should I care? So you have another twist on the idea. So yeah, this isn't like off-brand Superman. This is something else. This is a different thing. So yeah, but I'm not saying that makes
it is interesting that they didn't. Right. Yeah. Sorry. Interesting that they didn't parody the Avengers or those characters, because those are really more the good guys versus bad guys, and mostly good guys. I mean, Marvel's villains are usually pretty uninteresting for the most part, but their heroic characters are, firmly on the side of good. At least, as their character arc takes off, they get there. If you're sort of a darker person in the beginning, like a Tony Stark. But they're overall, their movies are more like, these are the good guys. And it's the Justice League characters who have been subverted in the movies. But the Boys still subverted the Justice League type characters. Kind of interesting that they did. I think the comic book Justice League, and maybe even the Super Friends, although who remembers that cartoon? It was not old.
I love it. Shut up, Banks.
Yeah, well, you're an old guy too. But interesting, I think those paragons, that mythology of the Justice League, kind of, you do still think of them, despite all those DC movies. They're still thought of as the good guys, so to speak. So that's why it's an effective subversion to parody them and the Boys, especially Superman.
But you're right. It is all Superman. I mean, as you say, with the Boys, the rest of the Justice League are there, but it is mainly Superman, and all the other things are Superman as well. So he is the main one, and I think the reason for that is because
he's the icon.
Yeah, he's an icon, but the people who do these movies still don't get the idea that people like superheroes and know what superheroes are. People who don't, who aren't super nerds or whatever, who read every single bloody comic, they think, they're the only ones who know the other superheroes. everyone else only really knows Superman, so that's the only one we're going to turn evil. We're going to do our parody version of, because he's the only one people know, and that's why I think they keep on doing alternative Supermans instead of doing the Avengers or whatever else. Like, say, The Watchmen. That was a good film that didn't actually have evil superheroes but had very grey superheroes.
I was going to bring that up. That might be the forerunner of some of this stuff. Yeah, you see more of the flaws and more of the humanity and the problems if there really were superheroes. Yeah, The Watchmen was super interesting.
There is no Superman in that.
That's right.
The closest you get is Dr. Manhattan. But
yeah, because he's so powerful, but he's completely different than Superman.
Oh yeah, exactly. He's completely, absolutely different. So that's interesting in that it became a major motion picture, became a major film, but it didn't just do the whole Justice League exact duplicates in alternative versions, which everything else seems to do in one aspect or another. So yeah, I really appreciate that. That, I think, even though people don't like comic fans don't like The Watchmen because they didn't really follow the comic properly, I still think it is a very good film because it did examine superheroes in a smart way, and it didn't do them in a cliche way, and it didn't just mindlessly, parody or do alternative versions. I'm not saying The Boys is mindless. The Boys is a good show for what it is. I just think that
I think they do it right, The Boys, to take those icons that everybody knows, not just Superman, but Aquaman, The Flash, like Batman, Wonder Woman. Although the Batman character is mostly just a kind of a meta joke, at least so far. You don't see much of them, but I thought that was the right move, and it's a pretty, at least especially season 1 is like really intriguingly written. It's complex. There's a lot going on. Not for everybody with all the violence. Insanely dark humor. A lot of it is like just super, super dark humor, and there is a lot of like violence and stuff like that too, for sure.
Well, as you say, it was
well-made show, and like making it those like really obvious, XPs. I'm glad they did it that way, personally.
Well, this is a Garth Ennis thing, as you said. Garth Ennis, was that right? So,
yep.
He's the guy behind The Preacher, I think. Was it Cosmopolitan or Metropolitan? I can never remember. It's
I don't know. Metropolitan sounds right, although I don't know what it is really. I think I've heard of it. Transmetropolitan.
That's it. Thank you.
Kid just told us.
Transmetropolitan, yeah. So it's famous for having Arseface and this other character with the.
That's Preacher.
Oh, that's
you're
Preacher.
Talking about.
Well, Transmetropolitan has the guy with the red and the green glasses and all this, and it's super acclaimed work. Spider, there we are. Super acclaimed work, and this guy is not just a someone who's writing to be alternative. He is someone who's writing many people enjoy and have given him acclaim for good reason. And his works have all been adapted, I think. So yeah, he's someone whose work you've got to see, but he's very dark in his work, and he very much focuses on the evil aspects of humanity. So there's that kind of thing. And the Boys is very much about darkness and grossness and disgusting things. But yeah, I still can't really come out in support of evil superheroes as a genre. I do agree with you, Baines, that it does need to exist, but
Well, I didn't say it needs to, but it's just like, the lane is there
Yeah,
because,
but it's valid. It's
if
a
the
valid
mythology exists,
exploration.
then it's absolutely.
Yeah, I'm just saying that.
It kind of has to be done in a way. Like if nobody was doing it, it's like it would have to be done
Yeah,
if you're
I
examining.
I just
Yeah.
say it shouldn't
But
take
yeah, go
over.
ahead.
It doesn't deserve to become the new default, which it seems to be doing at the moment. It doesn't deserve to become a genre. It
I think if it does take over, like if it really everything starts to go that way more and more, then and maybe it already has reached that point, like a good, real white hat kind of Superman, which to me is the way they should do it. I don't think they are doing it, but that's the way to go very traditional, the moral, good Superman
exactly because even
would do great,
yeah, even in Marvel, which we were saying, an example of something that does the good, just strange, just the normal vanilla good superheroes. Well, we've got Iron Man, and Iron Man is not exactly the good guy that he used to be back in the old Silver Age. Iron Man is a bit of a grey area. He's a bit of a nuanced hero, isn't he? He's, especially in the comic.
He starts that way, and he kind of becomes more and more heroic.
But say you've got the Civil War.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's space for these heroes to be. I mean, I still wouldn't call him an evil superhero. Although, if Robert Downey Jr. came back, I think it'd be great if he played like a villainous version of himself. That'd be cool. It's kind of one thing they haven't done, but that's another story. Like he's got a great arc, in my opinion. But he's never a villain. He comes closest in Civil War, but I don't think he's ever would be considered an evil superhero or a villain hero.
No, he's a grey area.
Nah.
Slightly grey. Well, say Richard, what is his name? Reed Richards. That's it. So the Fantastic Four. So traditionally in the Silver Age comics of that, he's a good guy, completely good guy. But as time has gone on, he has become a bit more nuanced and a bit more evilish, let's say.
Oh, yeah, I don't know that. I don't really read them at all.
But I don't know. I've just been sort of watching commentary on them from Casually Comics. And
oh, okay.
Like that. So YouTube, great video series there. But also, one thing that just occurred to me that's quite amusing is what's that parody thing? The Venture Brothers. So the Venture Brothers was hilarious, and that did take this thing again with evil superheroes. So the whole thing about the Venture Brothers is it's like a parody of all kinds of superheroes, like the Spirit, I think, and no, the Green Hornet. That was it. The Green Hornet is in there. We have different superhero kind of characters. There's the
Like
G.I. Joe characters
sort of...
as hero characters.
Yeah, Johnny Quest.
Johnny Quest, yeah, that's the main one.
All these other, yeah.
But we also have superheroes who have become evil. There is a Reed Richards character with the white on his
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
and
he's pretty villainous, actually. Yeah,
he is. So yeah, that does tackle it as well. So the evil superheroes, but it's explicitly a parody. So it's not changing the genre. It is explicitly a comment on the genre. I think that's the problem I'm sort of coming across here. So it's like My Evil Ex-Girlfriend is a comedy on the genre. So it's not a normal superhero. Venture Brothers is a comedy on the genre. It's a parody. When we come to The Boys again is explicitly about the boys. It's explicitly set up in a world where these aren't standard superheroes. So I think there is an argument for it in that case, isn't it? Because it's not, you know it's not the Super Friends, even though they are, you know, what did you say, XP versions of them. It's so you know it's set up to examine them and to bloody hell, I cannot think of the words. You know it's set up to explore the idea of bad superheroes.
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessarily set up to change the genre. Maybe it will change the genre because of its popularity, but that's not the point. Other things I think do come closer to that, like Invincible, like Brightburn. They're using the genre as a jumping off point, but they're also, you know, products of the genre. And if they become...
And do they...
Sorry?
No, go ahead.
If they become popular enough, then that will become the new norm as these things happen.
Yeah. I mean, it can happen, you know, and then the maybe that need for those real superhero or sort of traditional superhero tropes will be filled somewhere else. Like, I mean, you kind of make me think vaguely of the universal monsters, you know, Frankenstein, Wolfman, Dracula, who were terrifying in the day. Like, that was the horror pantheon of film in whenever they came out, the 30s and 40s. And then by the end of it, they weren't doing as, you know, it was kind of, it rose and fell. And then in the 40s or whatever, it was Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein, all the comedy, like not making the monsters a joke, but in a comedic movie, you know, even though the monsters were still monsters. Yeah. But then you have the monsters, you know, after that, where like Frankenstein and Dracula and Vampira and like everyone is like these comedic sitcom characters. And so you have the not the end of the horror genre, but it must have seemed that way at the time.
Yeah, the Addams
like,
Family as
over.
well.
Now it's just a joke. Addams Family too, yeah. Where it's like, yeah, it's just a joke. We're just laughing at these horror tropes and everything.
You're right, it changed.
But horror still exists, just those new faces, you know.
Well, it did change the genre though, didn't it? Because you could no longer have vampires for a long time. Vampires were dead in the genre. Like, you had weird campy versions in Hammer horror films. But vampires didn't really become a thing again until Anne Rice's Interview with a Vampire. And then you have them morphing into sexy creatures. And now we have the sexy vampire.
And that might have killed the genre more than anything, possibly.
But that was another spike in the genre, and then it got killed again by I don't know. It did have a legs under it. You know, we had Twilight, obviously.
But that's not the horror genre, though. Twilight, that's the romance.
No.
genre.
I'm not saying it is, but that's where the character who began in horror, the vampires, that's their trajectory. That particular monster. So
yeah,
they were revived in Interview with a Vampire, and you know, went into a gothic romance or whatever. And then they came into True Blood, which is a sexy thing. And there was a Canadian TV series about the whole thing too that predates all those. I can't remember what it was called. The Hunger or something. No, that was a David Bowie one. Forever Night, I think. That was a Canadian show that Baines, you're not Canadian enough to know, of course.
Okay. No, I guess not. Yeah, I don't know.
So yeah, that was a like. Do you remember Beauty and the Beast, the version with the lady?
I know of it. I never watched it, but yeah, I know of it. Yeah, she was in it, and Ron Perlman, I think. Hellboy was the Beast.
Exactly. So Forever Night.
And what's her name?
Sort of like
Sarah
that.
Jessica Parker, whatever her name is, was Beauty.
Sarah Jessica Parker. No, it was the Terminator lady, whatever her name is.
Linda Hamilton.
That's it, Linda Hamilton.
Yeah, I just couldn't find the name. Yeah.
Look at their great huge square face. Surprising, she's got a huge square jaw, that lady. Anyway, we're off topic here, but yeah, genres change, and if something becomes popular enough, they change the entire genre. And I'm just worried that superheroes are gonna go that way, and I don't think they should. I think they deserve to stay as good guys, because that's how it works. Maybe they're just too invested in bloody Silver Age stuff I grew up with.
Right. I mean, we'll have to see what they do next. Yeah, man. I don't know. I'm definitely way less interested in the subverted versions of actual existing characters. I find my enthusiasm for that doesn't exist. Although, like I said, I love The Boys. It's not for just the idea, although I think it's a cool idea. It has to be a well-written movie or show. There has to be something going on. There has to be people to root for. It's like all those rules of drama. I think going dark with Superman and those other characters is a huge mistake. But I mean, who knows? It all depends what people want to see. And can't fight City Hall. Can't fight it, Oz. It's Metropolis. Jake, whatever that quote is. I was doing a Chinatown thing, but I flubbed it.
It's Chinatown. No one's cutting my nose. You can bugger off with that. And if you've seen Chinatown, you'd know what that means. All right. Let's cut it off there. Let's pinch this one.
Up and away.
Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's a disgusting parody. All right. Bye, people.
Bye-bye now.